Welcome back, guys. Ted with Forward the Line. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I am in my home studio, aka my living room, and we have had quite a busy weekend in terms of news. So I figured I'd throw out a video just cuz. So let's just go ahead and get into it. If you wouldn't mind, give us a like, give us a follow. Check us out on forwardtheline.co for some goodies. And let's get into this from the BBC. U.S. and China meet for trade talks in London. A new round of talks aimed at resolving the trade war between the U.S. and China has started in central London. A senior U.S. delegation, including the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, met Chinese representatives such as Vice Premier He Lifang, to resolve the tension. Chinese exports of rare earths and Beijing's access to U.S. products, including computer chips, are the number one talking point on the agenda. So, for those of you out there who think this won't come to an end very quickly, I beg to differ. China is, at best, a paper tiger. Uh, they have a lot of people. They're working on growing their military and could become a formidable force over the next 10 years. Actually, there was a Joe Rogan episode where a guy came on, I forgot his name, and he was talking about China's rise to military might. And at that point, which was, I don't know, maybe 2020, 2021, somewhere there, they were about 10 years away. Well, we kind of lost 4 years there, but now under Trump, not a huge fan of the military spending, but at least the resources are being allocated to building ships, to improving infrastructure and weaponry and the military readiness of our armed forces, which in essence is good, as long as we're not taking that and going straight to war with Iran or any other country or keep bombing Yemen or all that good stuff. That's the bad part. But outside of the military, China, their economy hinges completely and totally on us. Now, they give us cheap goods and we sell them software, which is one of the primary things on the agenda. Not only is it the chips coming to us, but their chip design software, what they didn't actually already steal, which is older to begin with because it's stolen, we're preventing our companies from selling them updated software, updated equipment, all that stuff. And they, of course, make and sell chips as well. But our primary is Taiwan. And of course, China considers Taiwan a part of China, but that's just not true. No one's, obviously said it on a world stage because we pretend like they're, a part of one China, but they're not. They're their own country. They've been doing their own thing for years now. So China, China's economy, honestly, what I think it was is China used their leverage and thought that the American people, when the prices started to go up further than the inflation we already have now, I think they genuinely thought that we would get angry with Trump and he would cave. They thought he would cave and release the tariffs. That didn't happen. Some of our goods that came over here raised by 15 to 20% in cost. Mind you, those are all cheap goods that are basically dollar store stuff, basic cheap, cheap, cheap stuff. And no one really cares. Like the prices are bad enough already. And at least in this instance, we know that something positive is coming out of it because Trump is using that to make it even with China and us. Under Biden, prices went up and there were no benefits. There were no known benefits. Anything that was an actual benefit would have been to the uber elite and the massive multinational companies that made more and more and more and more money over COVID, the largest wealth transfer in history from the middle to the upper classes, period. So at least we know what Trump is doing. If the costs go up a little bit. So they're mad and they are going to come to the table. This all started, by the way, because we were getting railroaded. And I want to show you guys something on here in a minute. But just to preface this, pre 2018, before Trump initially started the trade war with them, where some agreements were made at the time, China charged us 8% to send goods to them, an 8% tariff on us. We charged them 3.5% to bring goods into us. And that had been going on for years, years and years. So double. They charged us double what we were charging them. Trump thought that wasn't very fair because China is not a fledgling economy anymore. They are a powerful force in the world economy. Even though they hinge on us almost entirely, they still are. And that's why you're starting to see the UK starting to buddy buddy. As a matter of fact, before this particular meeting occurred in London, the Chancellor, what's her name, Rachel Reeves, the UK Chancellor, met with Xi Jinping prior to the US talks. They're even talking about putting an embassy near London. So now you've got the UK, you've got Germany, Europe, you got Canada, you got Mexico, all buddying up with China, and that's another leverage point that they think they have. And it's like, oh well, we'll buddy with the rest of the United Nations and force the United States into doing something, else they'll lose their footing as the world's number one economy. So they got balls. They got balls. But let me show you something real quick because this is the media, and this is why I picked the BBC, honestly. So this is a chart that they have on this most recent article, tit for tat tariffs between the United States and China. So they're starting here at February of what is that? February 1st, right? And this is what I hate about their narrative machine. They imply here that on February 1st there was a zero tariff. No, there were already reciprocal tariffs from back prior to 2025. But people who don't know that information are going to look at this chart and go, oh my God, China wasn't charging us any tariffs and we put a 10% on them. And it's not saying that people are stupid. People can be stupid, don't get me wrong. People can be stupid, but a lot of times people are just ignorant. And even if they do know there's tariffs in effect, they might have thought that it was a fairly even tariff. So now they think, oh, Trump went off the rails and added 10% because of fentanyl, which is justified in my opinion because a lot of that fentanyl is made in China, or at least the components of fentanyl is made in China and shipped specifically for that reason to countries around the world and Mexico, and that's where the cartels get a hold of it. But neither here nor there. This implies that everything was fine and dandy before Trump got on his tariff spear. And then, of course, later on, you can see how it goes up and down and all that stuff. And China's at 10% and we're at 30%. There's more to it than this, BBC. And you're doing this on purpose. This is your narrative machine at work, your highly ultra progressive liberal narrative machine at work. And this is what they do. So at the end of the day, they're going to utilize the rare earth minerals. They're gonna let up on tariffs a little bit from where it was at after this most recent meeting. I believe it came down from like 125, 150 down to 30. But they're going to allow the rare earth minerals to start coming up because that's where you're going to see that's where the American people are going to get pissed, and they know that when you start seeing electronics equipment shoot through the roof in price, which if we kept going too long, that would happen. That's where the people get mad. They're not worried about the cheap dollar store stuff. They're worried about their electronics, their iPhones, their laptops, their all that stuff, their cars because of the chips in the cars. And of course, you need the minerals in order to make that electronic equipment. So that's what's going to happen. And this is going to come to an end very shortly, very shortly. They're going to cave. So let's move on to the next story here because I don't want to waste too much time on this. You guys probably know a lot about it. But from The Guardian, Trump announces a $1,000 government funded account for American babies. The tax deferred investment account will track stock market for children born between 2025 and 2029. It's a federal program of government funded investment accounts for American babies, getting big time backing from business leaders who plan to contribute billions to an initiative tied to the Big Beautiful Bill. He had a meeting with executives from Uber, Goldman Sachs, Dell Technologies, and a lot of other companies who are considering or promising to put in a large billions of dollars in investments into this program for every U.S. citizen born before December 31st, 2024. The federal government will make a one-time contribution of $1,000 into a tax-deferred account that will track the overall stock market, Trump said. I think this is one of the big things in the bill. And this is where my more liberal side comes out, because when it happens to be a program that is of genuine benefit to the people of the United States and it costs money, I think this is a good thing. I think that this Trump account is genius. Like I said in one of my other episodes, this is legitimately the first actual step towards removing Social Security um, as the primary financial staple in a person who is retired in their finances, right? Because as you and you guys and I both know that Social Security is on its way out. It will go bankrupt, and it will go bankrupt shortly. Now, whether or not there's arguments about exactly how it's going to go bankrupt, the most common one that I've seen is that the reserves account, the reserve trust accounts, I guess you would call them, um, are going to deplete. And then, yeah, we have the tax money coming in, which comes from that theory of if you raise the cap on the Social Security to a higher amount of money instead of the 150 it's at or something right now, send it up to 400, which would cause more revenue for Social Security taxes from a larger income bracket. The idea is that would offset the reserves, and that extra tax money coming in will either replenish it or at the very best, fill that gap that we're drawing from the reserves. It's not necessarily a bad argument. I think it's a short-sighted argument because you're putting a band-aid over a gigantic wound, right? You're bringing in more money now from a bunch of high-level individuals, which won't sustain it in the long term. And we've kicked the can down the road with Social Security for way too long as it is. We spend way too much money on it as it is. So charging people who invest money back into the economy, the brackets that create jobs, because $400,000 might seem like a lot, right? But that includes every medium-sized business, every small-sized business, anybody that it's not just the elites, it's not just the rich, it's not just the powerful. You get a family of four, two parents that I don't believe in this, but let's say both of them work, full-time jobs and they're executives at a company or whatever. So you're not just beating out, Jeff Bezos. You're smacking a family who you're attacking somebody's family. You know what I mean? So it's not that it's necessarily a bad thing. It's a band-aid. It's a band-aid. Now that's my conservative side coming out tremendously, insinuating that it's good to let the rich people continue to have their money. And it makes me sound fucking pompous and rich, and I'm not at all. I'm poor. I'm doing these videos. Um, but yeah, so that's a band-aid. That's a band-aid. That's the point. It's a band-aid. So this is actually a real genuine trial, and I hope it does function at least somewhat well so that we can at least extend the time frame, because right now 2025 to 2029, not really a large period of time to be doing this. We would need a much larger sample in order to see if it really will contribute to Social Security. And yes, it's going to take a while to figure it out, but it's at least a step, and I'm happy with a step. And yes, it costs more money. But in theory, with all the other money we're spending, if we were stopping that, a little bit of money going to this from the money Doe saved, and they should have actually put it through. Things like this are good, but there's a lot of pork. That's the problem. There's always too much pork in these damn bills. The omnibus bills have to go. We cannot do this. And I was listening to Theo Vaughn talk to JD Vance today, and he made the point of, in order to get the agenda done, we needed to slam it all in this bill. I do understand that premise. He's not necessarily wrong. And politics is a dirty game where you have to make compromises in order to get what you want. And this bill does have a tremendous amount of Trump promised policy in it, and his agenda in this bill. So I get that. However, without breaking those bills down into individual bills, not only does it allow for large amounts of nonsense to get into these bills, but it also takes away from the American people the opportunity to know who your representatives are. When you have a bill that just goes over the border, right? Just border funding alone. When you have a bill that just would be for the Trump accounts alone. When you have a bill that would just deal with military spending alone, you can see how your representatives are going to vote. Because in this, for both sides of the aisle, the Democrats can stand up and say, "Oh, well, I voted for this because it has this good thing in it, but I didn't vote for." On the flip side, in this instance, I didn't vote for it because of how bad the immigration policy is, because of they want to lock up American citizens and blah 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 blah. And on the Republican side, they can stand up and go, "Oh, look at all these good things that I did here. I voted for it, even though it has this bad thing. I still did this good thing." And they can run on that and win again on that. When if you broke it all individually, you get a feeling for who they are and what they stand for, right? So we need to do it. Whatever happens, we need to do it. I would like to think that after this major bill goes through, a lot of the agenda gets, on track. He at best will have maybe next year's budget. Maybe. They might just do a CR and all that good stuff. But if the Republicans, I say we, I do lean more Republican because of everything that's gone on since COVID. But if the Republicans can retain the Senate and the House in 2026, I would vote for them to retain the House if the first agenda item after the elections in 2026 were to make a piece of legislation that said all bills must be voted on an individual level. And at best, maybe a small combination bill where it's just a few different things lodged in one. No more omnibus bill, none of that. I don't care if you have to work extra. I don't care if you have to work longer. I don't care if you have to take time out of your campaign to go do your fucking job. You go do your job. That's what you do. You do it. I don't know why that's so hard to understand for those people. It's because they live, I'll answer my own question. It's because they live for campaign donations. That's what they do. They live for campaign donations. Their job is a beauty pageant in a lot of instances. Now, in some instances, they're honest and they tell you what their policy is and what they want to do and blah, blah, blah. But their whole job is to raise money, right? So whatever we can do to limit that and actually force them to use their record, their voting record, to run and win elections would be the one of the best things that the United States can possibly do, that we the people can possibly do for our government to improve it for us, is to force them to admit to who they are. So anyways, let's move on to the next one because I probably had some more information on that, but I think I think that's good. So let's move on to the next story here. From NPR, RFK boots all the members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee. RFK is removing all 17 members of the key advisory committee that helps craft vaccine policy and recommendations for the CDC. Kenny made an announcement on Monday afternoon in a press release from the Department of Health and Human Services, an opinion piece published by the Wall Street Journal. He authorized to replace the members of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP. Quote, a clean sweep is necessary to reestablish public confidence in vaccine science. ACIP new members will prioritize public health and evidence-based medicine. The committee will no longer function as a rubber stamp for industry profit-taking agendas. And the entire article from that point on is just smashing RFK. They've got a guy by the name of Tempty, professor from the University of Wisconsin, served as chair of the ACIP from 2012 to 15, said, quote, I hate to say this, but we are heading in the direction of U.S. vaccine policy becoming the laughingstock of the globe. This total piece of shit is butthurt because we're actually going to investigate immunization policy and practices. We're actually going to research those practices and policies. We're not going to allow medications to be pushed through, especially vaccines, to be pushed through for the medical industry. This is your fault. You have to understand that. The reason why RFK is in there is your fault, you academic elitists. The reason why RFK is going through and destroying and getting rid of all of your top most senior committee members, people on the board, people who work at the CDC, people who work at the FDA, the reason why he's going through and doing this is your own fault because you allowed a literal government subsidy. You allowed billions of dollars to be granted to a handful of pharmaceutical companies in order to rush a vaccine. I don't even care if it was under Trump. It's just as much his fault that this happened. He'll defend it because he felt it was what he had to do. But that doesn't matter who the president was creating that. The entire bureaucracy underneath the executive branch green lit this ridiculous thing that is causing damage upon damage upon damage to the American people. And not only that, but you knew it. You knew it had side effects and you didn't say a word. You knew that they hid information from the government and you didn't say a word. You knew that they rushed this in order to get the money and you just allowed it. Now, not saying all vaccines are bad. I will never say I'm an anti-vaxxer. I will never say I'm an anti-vaxxer. I got all my vaccines as a child. I got the tetanus shot when I cut myself on a fence a little, few years back. It's not that the vaccines are the problem per se. The problem is that your research is faulty. The problem is you make decisions based off of old data that is not updated. You don't double check yourselves. You rubber stamp it, you send it out. That's what you do. And you've been caught doing it. And the pharmaceutical companies have been caught doing it. And somebody needs to be held accountable. If you people allowed the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world to get not only a green light to make the vaccine, but immunity from lawsuits for making the vaccine, you should be ashamed of yourselves coming out here and saying, "Oh, RFK's gonna destroy it. He's gonna destroy it, and we're gonna be a laughing stock." No, we already are, bro. We already are. And if you think it's the United Kingdom and Europe that well, they copied what we did. They just did what we did. They think we're stupid because we have RFK now. Well, the government over there is stupid too. And I can almost guarantee you that a lot of those citizens over there in Europe, in the UK, and Germany, I'm sure a lot of them know that there was something wrong with those vaccines. But see, in this country, we actually get to speak up and say something. They don't get that luxury over there. And is it their own fault? Yeah, probably. But nonetheless, they don't get that opportunity. So now we over here can come out and say, hey, 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 remember that authority and power that we gave you, that we allowed you to have. I don't care if you went to to a university and trained for 10 years to be a doctor. You worked for it, good for you. But we allow you to be in that position because the people we elect put you in that position. Remember that. You work for the government. You work for us. You are a subcontractor in terms of, if you put it in layman's terms, you're a subcontractor of our company. The United States is our company. So yeah, if we want something different and we put somebody in there that's going to go through and remove a bunch of you people and put in new people that might actually do something a little differently, cool. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. And you should be too, to be honest with you. You should be too. Because it makes you seem actually genuinely wanting to do the right thing. Because in this instance, you don't seem like you want to do the right thing. You seem like you want to keep status quo. Now, some of status quo might be a good thing, sure, but it's obviously not all of it because we saw that loud and clear, bright as day during COVID. So we got to have something different, man. And I think there was something else I want to talk about. Oh, yeah. Senator Bill Cassidy, a physician and Republican representing Louisiana, cast a critical vote to advance Kennedy's nomination, saying that he had assurances that Kennedy would maintain the ACIP's recommendations without changes. Well, depends on how messed up the ACIP is. If it's solid, then you got nothing to worry about. If the data's solid, you got nothing to worry about. If the tests were solid, you got nothing to worry about. But obviously, there's something that's being hidden. Obviously, there's some things, I should say, that probably aren't the most transparent and crystal clear. And honestly, even if they're good, even if all of them are good, and RFK was wrong at the time when he originally said that it might have a link to autism. Okay, let's give you that. Let's say that they are good and they don't cause the level of problems that anti-vaxxers are assuming. Why can't you show us that? Why can't you be transparent about it? Why can't you go, oh yeah, here's all the data we use to make these decisions? I mean, do you? I've never seen it. I've never seen the media report on it. I've never seen anything like that. Why, when we ask you, when we FOIA request you to get these things, why do we ask you as ask the private organizations to provide some information so we know exactly what we're working with, how you got to your decision? You don't want to do it? Okay, well, that's a little sketchy. So we went ahead and put somebody in there to fix that, which is RFK's point. So let's jump to the last thing here because I am already on 25 minutes. Lord have mercy. All right, this is a live update from CNN, and CNN is a joke of an institution. The Marines being mobilized for LA protests as California vows to sue the administration. California, blah, blah, blah. Deployed Marines must ensure clear coordination with local authorities. I can't talk apparently. Police Chief Jim McDonnell is calling for open and continuous lines of communication between all agencies responding to protests in the city ahead of the deployment of U.S. Marines. I didn't even know it was U.S. Marines. I thought it was just National Guard. Man, this is getting wild. Statement of this agency, other partners agencies have experienced a large-scale demonstration. Hold on, pause. McDonnell said in a statement that his agency and other partner agencies have experience dealing with large-scale demonstrations and safety remains the top priority for them. Demonstrations? I'll show you some demonstrations here in a minute that you guys have probably seen a bunch. Okay, on Monday today, they activated about 700 Marines to help protect federal personnel and property. They will join the 300 National Guard troops already on the ground after Trump activated 2,000 Guard members over the weekend. I didn't know that. I learned something as I pulled the story up, apparently. Yeah, good. Because I'll show you a couple things in a minute. Honestly, I think this is a little bit more isolated for right now, but these are worse. Are they as bad as the 92 protests? Probably not. Or, excuse me, the 92 riots. They definitely weren't protests. If they were protests, they weren't protests very long. The 92 riots, are they as bad as that? No. I kind of don't think they were. I know how bad that was. The rooftop Koreans were the heroes of that era. So it was bad. Is it that bad? No, but don't treat it like it's not a bad thing, right? Don't treat it like fiery, but mostly peaceful. Which is they've already started doing. You know what? I'll just go ahead and show you that clip too, because I swear X is the best for this stuff, dude. They are the absolute best for this stuff. Fucking Dana Bash. All right, here, let's jump over.
They have it under control. Carrying a flag is not illegal, as you know. What did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot.
Video after video has shown that these agents are the ones provoking protesters and also making up, aggression by these protesters that later video shows people were not aggressive.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
Unrest is isolated. LA is home to millions of people. Most of them are having a normal day here on Sunday.
You know, you've heard reports that there are riots on the streets of Los Angeles. That is not what's happening across the city of Los Angeles.
Governor Newsom's right. There wasn't anything like a riot happening on Friday, Saturday.
We just witnessed a protester thanking a National Guardsman for his service here in California.
LAPD.
All right, I'm turning this off. I can't with these people. I can't. You know what? Let's jump over to Andy No real quick, because this is that video that they showed a clip of. Dana Bash, the retard, showed a clip of. This is what it was. This is what it was. It wasn't just a guy waving a flag on top of a burning vehicle. They managed to get the shot where the fire was basically out of the way. In reality, this is just one area. I watched a live stream on Sunday night where they lit an electric car on fire, I think like you're seeing here, and there were just, it was smoke billowing out of it, fucking billowing out of it, and a bunch of dumbasses standing this close to the car. It's an electric vehicle. One, it's going to explode. Two, you're an idiot, right? Because you're inhaling those fumes, you're going to die early. But anyways, let's keep watching this shit, because this is hilarious to me. I guess this is later on in the night, yesterday. So when I look at this, maybe the buildings aren't as destroyed yet, but this is like third world shit. This is like war, modern combat war, like COD warfare, modern warfare. And now that we have the military there, it's even more like that, because these people are trained. They are trained professionals. They're doing this on purpose, and they're under the direction of individuals that want to see the country burn. That's who's doing this. Now, you can say it's individuals like George Soros. You can say it's NGOs and other organizations that want to see this, activist organizations that want to see this, and you might very well be right. But at the end of the day, that's all speculative. But what this is, very, very, very similar to the BLM protests. Very similar. Kind of started out in one local area of the city, Minneapolis, and kind of spread out from there as it got more successful because they didn't stop it. They didn't stop it. And California, LA is the best target to start these riots. It's the best target because they know that no one's going to do anything. They know. No one did anything. They have an entire police force. No one did anything. Newsom didn't do anything to activate the National Guard when that's obviously a violent riot. If your police officers don't have the resources or laws or ability, or slack, for lack of a better word, to make arrests, to do those things, then you bring in your National Guard. But no, California is a shithole, and they like this happening. They have gone so far left, so far progressive in their attitude and ideology that they cannot even take care of themselves. The federal government has to step in to prevent businesses from being destroyed, property from being destroyed, and very soon, if it keeps going, people from being destroyed, because that's the way these things go, right? They might start out as a protest, but once they escalate to a riot, you either stop them or people start dying. That's what happens. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it baffles me. It just baffles me. And if we're not careful, if something is not done, if Trump didn't call in the Marines, if Trump didn't call in the National Guard, even though he's going to get sued because they're a shithole state and they'll do anything to make Trump look bad. This is an organized, I guarantee you, this is Antifa adjacent behavior, activities, I should say, that is well organized, well funded. I heard somebody talking on a podcast about they've seen Craigslist advertisements looking for people to do these things. And of course, it's written, more coded. They're not going to say where the money comes from. I think it was on the Viva Fry podcast, actually. But they're not going to tell you where it's coming from. They're not going to tell you all the specifics on a fucking ad. But what they will do is they will get these people out there. And then you've got people who've been doing it, who did it back during the BLM riots, and they're back. They're coming back for seconds. They get paid. Why not? You get to go destroy shit. These people are anarchist, crazy people, right? And anarchy gets a bad name. So maybe these are chaotic, masochistic, I don't even know if that's the right word. They are crazy people. They are crazy people. And they like to destroy. There's a word for that. I can't remember what it is, but they like to do this. So, of course, if they get money to go break shit, they're going to go do it. They're going to go do it. So it's easy to get the people on board. The real question is, once it's quelled, the real question is, who is supplying the funding? Because obviously these people don't have jobs. Obviously they're all young people. We have a lot of unemployed. We've always had a fair amount of unemployed, and it has gone down a little bit, but nonetheless, I doubt this is all unemployed people, like actually unemployed people, right? Who are just so fed up that they have to go destroy stuff. They're mad about immigration. They're mad about the ICE raids. They have to pick something. You remember when they were waving BLM flags and LGBTQ flags? They did this before. It's a repeat of that. But they couldn't use the BLM narrative because they got found out. They couldn't use the LGBTQ narrative because people are pissed about it. And it's a winning issue for Trump. The most logical thing they could pay people to go out and riot and destroy about would be the immigration riots. And that motherfucker had the nerve to wave a Mexican flag in the United States. Go home. Why are you even protesting the removal of people back to their countries? You're obviously viva la raza, or, viva la Mexico. Go the fuck back to Mexico. What are you doing here? Why? And it just lends more to the fact that these people are paid agitators. They are paid agitators. And we need to find out once this is quelled, I'm telling you, once this is quelled, we need to find out where the money trail is. That's what we need to do. So just to jump back, because this is how we should treat protesters. And I don't advocate for violence. I don't advocate for violence. I don't know what happened to my thing here. Where am I? There I am. I don't advocate for violence, but this is how stupid people are. And this is a climate protest that you guys have probably seen before. Ooh. This is BLM protesters. This is the type of stuff we saw before. And if we don't get this under control, we will see this type of behavior expand across the United States yet again, and we will have another summer of chaos. It's planned, it's prepared, this is what they want, and they're going to get a bunch of dumb people who aren't getting paid to show up and become agitators. This is what they do. This is what they do. This guy's funny. I like this guy. This guy's hilarious. Is it not going to play? Sounds off. That's a bummer, but that's okay. Still funny. So if you guys haven't seen this whole video, it's really funny. So that truck actually, he didn't see them. So he comes flying down the street at whatever speed it is over there. And he had to slam his brakes, and his truck almost like went forward, went front. And then that's the point where he gets out. It's Germany. Sorry, it's Germany. So, yeah, just some funny little clips. But no, I don't advocate for violence. I don't advocate for violence. But fuck around and find out. That's kind of where I stand with it. Fuck around and find out. You want to be stupid and sit in front of a 18-wheeler and expect them not to crush your bones? Then you're an idiot. And natural selection kind of fits in this scenario. I've heard other political commentators come out and say that when you see this level of violence, it should be shoot on sight. And I don't necessarily 100% agree with that. But if they are attacking a person, if they are throwing bricks at a person, for instance, there was a video, I don't have it right now, but there was a video of a guy from the top of a overpass throwing rocks, large rocks down to the police officers below. And luckily the guy was wearing a helmet, but it hit him straight on the head. If that dude did not put on his helmet for some reason, for whatever reason, dude would be dead. In that instance, again, I mean, if somebody wanted to come to the police officer's defense, I mean, I'm not going to stop them. Like, these people are insane. Anyways, you guys will probably see more in the coming days. I just wanted to share these little tidbits with you, and it's getting dark anyways. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please like and follow. Check us out over on X at Forward the Line. Thank you again. And as always, be happy, be healthy, get educated, stay motivated, Forward the Line.